Hello and welcome back to Maths Competition Society. The purpose of this video is to be the starter of a series which is called the Exploration into Mathematical Olympiad Geometry. And we'll start off with the most basic part of geometry, the congruency of triangles. So in my example, we have two triangles, ABC and A1B1C1. We know that they are congruent because they have corresponding sides and angles which are equal. Since the triangles A1, B1, C1 and A, B and C have the angles Y, X and Z and R, Q and P, and each of those are corresponding to each other, we know that these two triangles are congruent. But we need to go into more detail than just that, since we're not actually always given these 6 values in order to determine congruency. Now, the reason I've chosen congruency as the first chapter or part of this series is because the congruency, especially of triangles, is one of the most key parts in most proofs and explanations in geometry, and identifying congruent triangles, especially in much harder problems such as BMO2 geometry questions, can be a lifesaver and can basically pave the way for a question or a very neat and elegant solution. However, since it's not always initially obvious whether two triangles are congruent, there is certain criteria we can use to determine whether two triangles are congruent or whether they are simply similar. We can look at Criterion 1, which is side, 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 which is SSS for short. It basically means if we have 3 pairs of corresponding sides, which are all equal in length, it means that the triangle that we are looking at is congruent with the other triangle, which has the same 3 sides of equal length. Now, this is a very basic concept, and you might be wondering why would I choose to make a video on this? And you're right, it is a very basic concept. This is something you learn in primary school, but the reason for doing a video like this as a starter is because it's always important not to forget the simple stuff, especially when you're looking at stuff like BMO2, BMO1 questions. You're looking at complex algebraic and, in this case, geometric theorems such as Thales' theorem or mid-segment theorem or the extended sine rule, and sometimes you can lose you can basically lose your viewpoint on such simple stuff, and that simple stuff could be actually much more useful than learning something so complex. So Criterion 2 looks at side angle side, which is another condition for two triangles to be congruent. If two pairs of corresponding sides and the angles between them are equal, then the two triangles are congruent, as I've labelled on my diagram. The sides A and B on both triangles are the same, and the angles X between, which is a very important part, between the two sides is also equal. If the angle X was on a different side, for example, it is not necessarily true that the two triangles are congruent. So while we've done 2 criterion, there is in fact one more that we still have to look at, and that would be Criterion 3, angle side angle. And this is a very interesting one because people often don't pick up on this one as much as the other two, as it's not as obvious. Criterion 3 is basically when you have 2 pairs of corresponding angles and the side formed by the common rays of these angles are equal, then the triangles that you're considering in your question are congruent. Essentially what that means is, what I'm drawing beneath shows you that you have 2 triangles and you have the angles A and B, let's say. So 2 angles in this particular triangle A and B, and in your second triangle you also have the angles A and B. Now that's not enough, but if you're also given the fact that the side that connects these 2 angles is also equal, so in this case S, you know that by angle side angle, the 2 triangles that you're considering are congruent to each other, which means that we've essentially found all 3 criterion for congruency, and that is, just as a review in words, side, 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 angle, and side, angle, side. So now that we have all 3 of these theorems, we can sort of summarize in a way to try and remember all 3 of them. So we have SAS for side, angle, side, SSS for side, 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 and we have angle, side, angle. And these are the 3 criteria for congruency. Now, these 3 things could be the key to many important questions. So it's really important to get these memorized and locked in your head. As easy as solving a simple addition, just being able to recognize congruencies when you see a question can be a life-saving skill when it comes to these sorts of Olympiad problems. And it's important since congruence helps in angle and side tracing, which would be the elementary parts of many other theorems and proofs which I will later cover in future videos. Anyways, thank you for watching and subscribe to the channel.